back to For the Record. Today we're discussing Juneteenth, just signed into law as a federal holiday, and I'm talking about how far we have left to go in the state of Wisconsin.
Well, I think what is next is to first analyze where we are and then strategize as to where we can go. When we look at the increase of data and information, of course, that's reported information. And there are many stories that were never reported. There are many accounts that were never shared that existed. But when we have discussion and dialogue, and that's one of the realities and joys of media, social media, I think has intensified the ability to discuss and to dialogue. And then I think also giving individuals credit for their accomplishments and seeing the broader picture of contributions of people of color, more than just in areas of athletics and just the narrow dialogue and conversation that is captured during African Black History Month or whatever, but just really incorporating in our curriculum, sharing stories, just as we share stories of Columbus and others, share stories of individuals who have contributed to the American way of life. And I think whether you agree with it, whether you disagree with it, whether there's diversity, at least the presentation of it can bring about unity and solidarity.
Here comes the challenge. Here we are at the state capitol. There are legislative challenges, and it seems that it took an awful long time for us to see Juneteenth become recognized as a federal holiday. And it's taken even a longer time for some legislative actions to be taken with regard to just the value of life. And so without really getting into deep partisan politics, you know, we need to broaden the conversation about the value of human life, of people of all backgrounds, ethnicity, races, creed, color. We need to have that conversation and begin to make decisions on the legislative level that will demonstrate that our nation values all life.
So when I think about what our next steps, what progress means to me that we need to get bills passed in this House. As a legislator, it is my duty to write policy, but it's very difficult to get policy passed here. And let's be really clear, Wisconsin is the worst state to raise a Black family. To me, that's a crisis. We have the worst disparity and economic disparities, criminal justice disparities, juvenile justice disparity, poverty disparities, all 99 state reps and all 33 senators. It has to be their problem. So to me, it's a crisis. So what do I ask for? A call to action. Who do we go to when we need help in our community? We go to our spiritual leaders to pray for us, to help us, to guide us, to lead us. We listen to those that have been in our community protesting and demanding immediate changes. So it is my responsibility to come here and shake up this House.
Yeah, and I would just add that, yeah, it feels like we are just dipping our toe in the water, and at least we've gotten to the water. Now it's time to take that full dive. And you mentioned legislative roadblocks. I think it's important to recognize, too, that, you know, there's still a member of the Wisconsin delegation that did not vote for the Juneteenth federal holiday. And prior to that, there was a member of the Wisconsin delegation who held it up in the U.S. Senate. So I think we have to be very conscious of the fact that whether it's racism or the tolerance of it or the dismissal of the plight of Black people in this state, in this country, as long as there are those who are in elected office who continue to propagate it, and others, as you mentioned, like on social media, who popularize it, who, you know, sort of get their points from doing so, we're going to be in trouble. And I think that we have a responsibility, and as Representative Stubbs said, it's not up to just Black legislators, and it's not up to Black people to solve racism. We need everybody who is on board, who is not of a marginalized community, to stand up and make sure that this type of rhetoric or even action will not be tolerated. It's not acceptable in any form of civil society. So we still got a long way to go, definitely. And my only caution is that, you know, given the fact that we've we have come so far, but still have so far to go. I don't want people to get comfortable and think that we've arrived, because we've seen that play out. We've seen that happen. And whether it's challenges to what our students are learning in schools, as I mentioned before, it's important to learn the whole truth. You have to know the whole story before we can truly move forward as a society, as a state, as a nation.
I want to thank all of you for taking your time and your shared experiences to weigh in on this topic today. It's been invaluable.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks so much for joining me today. Have a safe and healthy week.